afternoon everyone. Still I wait for the slides to be on. I need this slide changer also. Good afternoon. Or is it good evening? Good afternoon. Well, for once we all ate and then cooked. Okay? So my job is made simpler because I'm going to be the last speaker. Many of the things are being covered. Of course, the next one is panel discussion. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So I'll try to make it short. And interestingly, there are two cardiologists other than me here. So I think in Mysore we had 3 or 4, and this is the second time I'm seeing fellow cardiologists sitting with us. Okay, so this is how I'm going to talk on, and this is how I also started my career as a cardiologist. Of course, there is one picture which is missing here, and I made that was on carotid angioplasty. This is bifurcation, and these are all carotid tumors where we embolized. This is all in 2000. Uterine embolization. I tried my best to venture into all the vessels in the body. That's the bronchial embolization. But then, somewhere down the line, I realized I was just touching the tip of the iceberg. And we are just treating the patients and creating more. So, I thought I should delve more into depth. So, we all know this. These are all the causes. These are the commonly mentioned causes. Your blood pressure, sugar, hypertension, your dyslipidemia and obesity, they are considered to be the only causes. But beyond that, we also have behavioral changes. So the behavioral cardiology is coming up in a very big way, and that's the reason basically they are the causes for the physiological changes. And I thought I will focus on subclinical atherosclerosis also. Well, I'm not going to talk on all these things today, definitely. People who are already into lifestyle medicine know these 6 pillars, and as a cardiologist, I will be always interested in reducing the cardiovascular disease, morbidity and mortality. So what is that thing that reduces the CVD? What is that one thing that reduces the cholesterol? What is that one thing that reduces sugar and blood pressure? What is that one thing that reduces weight as well as promotes physical activity, promotes good mood and sleep? We all know the answer for the first 4. They are some sort of drugs. When you take the weight also, it's probably exercise. And what is that one thing which takes care of all these things? That's your food. So food takes the priority in those 6 pillars. And you have heard this umpteen number of times about the China study, etc. So what is given in the feed is what you should take in plenty. That's about the whole plants. The processed plants come next, and then the products come down the list. So let me start off with a question. Atherosclerosis is a modern disease. How many of you say yes? You all heard that people saying that it is our lifestyle change that has become led on to the NCDs. How many of you say this is a modern disease? At least one person says. So I would like to take up the next part also. How many of you say it's not a modern disease? Because we are not used to raising hands for many things, including me for that sake. Okay. So many of you say that it's not a modern disease. I fully agree with that. We will have the second question here. What is the best screening tool for coronary artery disease? ECG, echo, treadmill and coronary angio. CT? Okay, so here is an answer called CT coronary angio. The question says, what is the best screening tool? A screening tool should not be invasive, and it should not be doing any harm, even in one single person. Okay, so obviously it's not the screening tool. Okay, so here comes the answer. It is CT, but it is CT coronary correction. And what is that? That is inside the machine. It's a mummy. Okay, we learned something from the mummy. We should learn a lot of things from mummies at home, and here is one mummy from whom we have to learn something. Okay. CT coronary calcium is basically like this. Like the treadmill will become positive possibly in later stages when you have a reasonably occluded vessel, a reasonable stenotic vessel. Okay, treadmill will not become positive otherwise. There are a lot of false positives, a lot of false negatives. Our fellow cardiologists will accept to that. Coronary calcium detects the atherosclerosis slightly before that. It is not at the earliest stage for sure. Okay, for now we have that alone as a screening tool. CT coronary angio, of course, as you said, is the best tool, but not to be practiced because of the invasive nature. Okay, so what has it got to do with the mummies? So they did CT coronary calcium scoring in mummies, and they found out that mummies in Egypt had coronary calcium. That is what talks about atherosclerosis as an ancient disease. Okay. Now, at that time, they didn't have vehicles, so they were walking on their foot, walking barefoot. Okay. They didn't have smoking. They did not have BP machine to measure, so we do not know whether the blood pressure was there or not. And most of them lived actually on plants and fruits and vegetables. So how did they get into heart disease? I know this slide, I've been using it regularly. Some of the people in the front row will definitely be knowing that. Anybody else from the back? Yes, sir. They were doing exercise because there was no transport, they had to walk. Okay, this is because people who are subjected to mummification did not belong to the common man group. Okay, they were either kings or priests. The priests were considered to be the people who connect these kings and their families to the god and take them to the next pyramid. What do you call that? Incarnation. Okay, so they were eating a lot of saturated fat. Okay, so to the extent they started actually giving it to the god, presuming that they will go into the next generation. Okay, so this is what they were eating. Lots of non-vegetarian items. And look at this leg, so big. Okay, these people are eating, and goose was one of their favorite items, the goose was 63% fat, and majority of it came from saturated fat. Okay, so, and they were all worried about their afterlife. So they wanted their body to be preserved, and they wanted the bodies of the animals also, which they thought they will be eating on the way to the god, to be preserved. Okay, so this is what made our people to study their coronaries, and they found out they have calcium. So now we all know that the animal product is something which promotes atherosclerosis. Fine? So now we'll come back to the risk factors for heart disease. So this slide, I'm sure we have discussed it earlier also. 56% comes around so many times these days. So 56% of the risk comes from the diet. Okay? And I remember Regina pointed out this slide earlier. This is from the GBD 2017. Whenever the patient asks, what is that which I should not take in the diet? We are all tempted to say that you should not take this, you should not take this, you should not take this, isn't it? Fat, your meat, all those things we are not supposed to take. That is what we are being used to telling the patients. Yes, they do cause disease, but what causes more disease is not taking the good ones which was provided in the lunch today. Okay? So not taking fruits, not taking whole grains, nuts and seeds, vegetables is the major cause of NCDs. Okay, so whatever numbers I have mentioned, if you are going to take that, you are going to prevent so many million deaths per year. That is the inference of this slide. Well, I'm sure we all talk about the recent advances in cardiology, in medicine. Of course, everybody prescribes statins for that sake. So we all talk about the recent advances, and every time something comes up new, it gets flashed in the news, isn't it? So new drug has been found out, but we all don't look at the numbers of deaths or the major adverse cardiac events that are reduced by those drugs. none of the drugs have been known to reduce the cardiovascular event by more than 40%. The rest is what is called as residual risk. So that residual risk is something which can be taken care of by a lifestyle modification and mainly by our dietary modification. Okay, the Intra-Art study is a major study which enrolled patients from 52 countries. Said that these are the two major risk factors: dyslipidemia and smoking. 2/3 of the patients will be having one of those risks. 1/3 of the risk can be reduced by taking 4 to 5 servings of vegetables and fruits. And if you are going to add on exercise and quit smoking, 80% of the diseases can be brought down. Okay, just again basic, I touched upon this when I showed this tip of the iceberg. The CVD includes heart failure, peripheral vascular disease, CKD, CVA and coronary artery disease. And we all look out only for these risk factors, but the important things lies in the behavioral change, that is what I said. So majority of the patients, 50% of the patients with cardiovascular disease do not have risk factor, that is what the book says. But if you are going to include the behavioral risk factors, 90% of them will have some risk factor or other, which when addressed will make huge progress in the patient. We all talk about the guidelines. What guidelines talk? Okay, so I would like to mention one instance. I had a conversation with some of the endocrinologists who are very close to me. When the ADA comes out with the guideline, every year they come out with the guideline. I ask them, what is the definition of diabetes remission? Okay, and ask them whether the whole food plant-based diet has been included in the guidelines or not. They were not aware, but they all the people who had read the guidelines. So it's not that guidelines do not talk about the diet. Guidelines have been talking about the diet for a very, very long period, and it's unfortunately skip those initial 50% of the guidelines, and we read on the drugs, interventions, and surgery. Okay, now they have made it even more easier because the interventions, they have got a separate guidelines. Surgery, you have got a separate guideline, so you don't need to read about the diet. That is the status now. So when it comes to cardiology, we talk about the two guidelines. One is the American Heart Association, the other one is the European Society of Cardiology. Let's see what they talk about the dietary aspects to convince ourselves. The selling point of these is this. American Heart Association says adjust your energy intake and achieve and expenditure to achieve and maintain a healthy body weight. Whereas the European Society guidelines straight away says adopt a more plant and less animal-based food pattern. This is in print. Okay, this is the selling point. What about the fruits and vegetables? Eat plenty and choose a wide variety is what AHA recommends. And ESC says 200 grams each of fruits and vegetables per day. How about whole grains? Prefer whole grains to refined grains. Okay, when it comes to whole grains, the fiber part alone the ESC has taken up, and he says derive majority of your fiber from your whole grains. Coming to proteins, AHA, even the Americans say prefer proteins from plants. I'm sure the 2025 to 2030 American dietary guidelines is going to focus more on this, more because of the environmental effects. Okay, so they say that you prefer plant-based protein and less of the rest. Similarly, the ESC says 30 grams of unsalted fats per day, fish just 1 to 2 times per day. Processed foods, obviously there are things that choose minimally processed foods and instead of ultra processed foods. Again, ESC is similar to that. When it comes to sugar, again minimize the intake of beverages and foods with added sugars. And ESC says avoid all sweetened beverages. So in a nutshell, both of them have said large quantity of fruits and vegetables, all your protein, from majority of our proteins from plant-based, all refined products to be avoided. So the whole food concept is definitely there. Plant-based concept also is there. It is not a completely whole food plant-based diet. Even the lifestyle medicine people now are not saying that it has to be whole food plant-based diet. It was predominant, plant-predominant diet. That means majority of what you take should come from your plants. Okay. Now, how much is the next question? Okay, this might be a little difficult to understand. I will just try to split this. So, whatever is there in greens has to be taken every day. 2 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruits, and whole grains every day. Okay, nuts and seeds, or minimally processed or low glycemic index cereals, grains. Non-tropical oils, yogurt, not more than 1 serving. Okay, legumes and fish. Okay, this is every day. What happened? Okay, that's again 3 days a week, 4 days a week. Yellow in moderation. Okay, your eggs, white meat, curd, and cheese. Not more than 3 days a week. Okay, processed or high glycemic index refined carbohydrates, then red meat, butter, not more than 2 servings per week. That's very clear. And when it comes to processed meat, very rare. Okay, so this is what this table summarizes. Well, these recommendations, are they confined to the European guidelines and the American Heart Guidelines? Let's open this up. Okay, this was published in 2022. Look at this, the guidelines which have come from various countries. United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, they said it's a complete food. That is, the whole food plant-based diet is a complete food. Qatar says it's a complete food. A country like Qatar was able to say that in 2015. Now we are 10 years from that. Okay. Norway, again, it can be used for any age group. Nordic says it is to prevent chronic diseases, Nordic Council. China says it gives immunity. This is all their comments on their whole food plant-based diet. Some more. Finland says it makes you move more and it makes you give up smoking. They emphasize this. Canadian guidelines say they have taken off milk as a separate entity. They have put it under the protein part and they say prefer plant-based milk. Belgium says you can derive majority of your calcium without dairy and the best calcium source is water. Okay? And calcium fortified plant-based milks. Okay? Netherlands and Nordic Council have also started moving more towards a whole food plant-based diet so that we can protect the environment. So, plant-based diet, if you want to make it a whole food plant-based diet, half of what you take should come from fruits and vegetables, a variety of fruits and vegetables, the seasonal vegetables, that should be 50% of what you take every day. And 1/4 should come from your whole grains, that becomes whole food, that is unprocessed. And of course, rest from pulses. Okay, this, I'm sure you know this. So how does it help? It's going to reduce dyslipidemia, it's going to reduce diabetes, it's going to reduce blood pressure. I heard one of the doctors here saying that after going into whole food plant-based diet, his blood pressure came down to less than 100 systolic. So it reduces obesity. Well, so it works on endothelial function, it works on inflammation. All plant-based diets are anti-inflammatory, and the other way around also is right. That's when you are going to use an animal-based food, it's going to be an inflammatory diet. Okay, so trimethylamine oxide, I'm not touching upon that today, and this is that improves your sleep as well as. Okay, so I think this was also touched upon on the gut microbes. So I think the important message here is atherosclerosis begins at a very early age group. So try to focus on the gut of your children. Okay, now it has so happened that the parents have started bringing the kids with MI. Okay, so I think it's important that parents should start focusing on their grandparents also. Okay, so the gut of the kids have to be taken care of, otherwise somewhere down the line you'll end up like this, and possibly someday you'll end up with a cardiologist also. So it is the gut which is triangulating your heart. So diet actually means, it comes from the word dieta. That basically means it's the entire way of life. It includes everything, all the 6 pillars. You actually don't need another pillar. Well, just the resources. These are the books. Well, Pritikin is not a cardiologist. He is not even a physician for that sake. He was an engineer. He was found to have dyslipidemia and some heart disease. It's not even in plain simple terms. Okay. So when he went around the doctors, they said, do not walk, just take rest, because there was no medicine at that time. So the best thing is to take rest. That's all. But he went ahead and experimented on whole food plant-based diet and found success. So this number of books written by him, and of course we all know about this man, Dr. Dean Ornish, who was the first person to demonstrate reversal of atherosclerosis. Of course, that time he was using angiogram, which is definitely not the best way to demonstrate reversal of atherosclerosis. Now he has changed over to PET scans, and we all have seen some angiographic pictures done by Esselstyn and those times showing reversal of heart disease. These are the books. Somebody is interested, I would recommend them to read and convince yourself. And a lot of organizations now are totally moving towards whole food plant-based diet. If you want any of these, the ones which are marked in red will give you plenty of information about whole food plant-based diet. Okay, it's just not to save ourselves, it is just to save the planet also. I think Dr. Gina opened up a bit of this in the morning. And if you are going to adopt a whole food plant-based diet, you are going to use get 1 by 3. Okay, so you're going to keep many things. Unlike the drugs are given, majority of the drugs, if you're going to give metformin, it's going to take care of your sugar. Maybe it might make you lose weight. I'm not against drugs, I'm not saying don't prescribe drugs, but it should not be at the cost of lifestyle modification, especially your food. And the only message which I would like to give is this. Unless we follow, I don't think we have a right to prescribe it to the patient. And that's the only message, and thank you for patience. And I sincerely hope I understood very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. G. Rajendran, for such an insightful talk. While we don't want the mummies to get up while we're doing the CT, we definitely wanted all our delegates to be wide awake, and Dr. Jia's engaging session has definitely done it. So can we again have a big round of applause for him? Thank you. On that note, your quiz master, Dr. Harshita, is back to check your immediate recall. So let's have the AHA slides also back on the presentation. Do we have Bhavani there who is doing the AHA slides? Okay, we'll check on that while we're getting the slides on. You all have been such a patient audience from a while. So can we have you all share in a word, how has your experience been of the CME as of now? Wherever you are, you can tell loudly, you can raise your hand, stand up and tell however you want.
Excellent.
Great. We have only one person saying? Good, bad, ugly. study, we are open to all feedback. That's how improvement happens. So please feel free to share your experience. Enriching, excellent, great, superb. This side I'm not hearing. I'm only hearing from my left side. Fantastic. Okay, there's someone who's raising hand. Please can you get up and tell what you want to say?
Little more detail on different groups of vegetables and fruits would have been much more helpful.
Sure, we'll make a note of that.
Enlightening.
Enlightening. Lot of E words like E is a favorite letter, is it? Enriching, enlightening, excellent.
Evidence-based.
Right. The topic for today was evidence-based nutrition. You picked it up right. So we've lived up to the name of the CME there. Wow. Havari is also back on board to put on those slides.
Hello?
Yeah, somebody? Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, madam. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Dr. Suresh here. I am 68 years old. I studied in Bengaluru Medical College. I went in cycle for 5 years to Bengaluru Medical College from Sainagar. Now I feel the importance of exercise and fitness. But your arena of food has enlightened, and I was thinking why it was not included in the curriculum. We have missed something, and very important.
In our practice, that's why it's called Physicians Association of Nutrition as well. So thank you all also for joining in and being attentive and being through the day. Usually we see after lunch people have disappeared, but you all are here, so thank you so much. So we have the AHA slides back, so can you all please take out your phone and scan this? Oh, you all have already scanned, so great. We have an audience which is super fast. So let me just read out the first question. Which of the following dietary factors is responsible for the highest number of deaths globally? Is it high sodium intake, low intake of whole grains, diet high in trans fats, diet high in red meat? I can see responses coming in. Give it 10 more seconds. Okay, so the actual answer for this is high sodium intake and not high trans fats. It's the sodium which is basically the root cause. Trans fat is basically like your soldier. When there is a war, the soldier will come up, right? You cannot stop a soldier. So it's the root cause is high sodium intake. So how sugar is also not good for you, sodium is also not that good for you. So high sodium intake is the right answer for it. Can you have the next question? According to dietary recommendation for a 2000 calorie diet, how many cups of fruits and vegetables should be consumed daily to maintain a balanced and healthy lifestyle? For a 2000 calorie diet, how many cups? I remember Dr. Just very clearly mentioned the number. So let's see how could he immediately call this. Unfortunately, the least answer is the right one. It's 4.5 cups. Like how Dr. Just said, the green ones are the ones to be consumed daily, at least 2 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruits. So the right answer, the closest, is 4.5. So let's go to the next question. What plant-based food is recognized as the most abundant source of dietary nitrates, which are associated with supporting cardiovascular well-being? Is it carrots, spinach, apples, or potatoes? It gives you the highest source of nitrates, which is promoting the cardiovascular well-being. Brilliant. Majority of got this right. 90% of you have said it right. It is spinach, which gives the highest source of nitrates, and nitrates, nitric oxide, is known to protect your arteries. So with that, we're coming to the end of this quiz. So please clap for yourself. You all have been clapping for others. On that note, we have our next session. myths. With food, we have myths. Everybody has something to say. Be it from our family to people on social media. Everybody except for the experts are speaking about food. So today we'll bust such common myths. The panel will be led by Dr. Pratima Tini. So I'm inviting all the panelists and the moderator, Dr. Pratima, on stage for the panel discussion.
My day with milk and end my day with milk, that I used to call Horlicks boy. So once I came one of the sessions in Pan India. So one of the presentation touched my heart. So then I started I need to change my diet lifestyle. Then I transformed to plant-based diet. So before transforming to plant-based diet, I got in all my investigations. So my uric acid was high, and even the liver was showing on ultrasound fatty liver changes grade 1. So after doing for 3-4 months, I could see a lot of changes within myself. So first change was bowel motility. That was the biggest challenge before with non-veg diet. So, and sleep quality, and even energy levels and vitality. The fatty changes in the liver got reversed, and uric acid is without medication, it became normal. So I encourage everybody to please start plant-based diet. Okay, thank you. So my weight, I lost my weight of around 12 kgs. So before my BMI was very high. So I reduced my weight. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mahesh. So now listening to his story, I think more doctors are going to get inspired and try to go on the journey that he has got, which is not difficult, but which is not easy, but it's not difficult either. What he has shown is that it is possible. Okay? Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mahesh. I next go on to my next question to Dr. Suvetha, who is a professor of community medicine. And our question to her is, all of us believe that all the hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, everything that we get is because it's in our genes. Now let's try and ask Dr. Suvetha if this is true. So does a whole food plant-based, change the expression of genes and its association with chronic disease and aging? And is there any evidence that shows that whole food plant-based diet actually increases longevity?
That looks like a long question for me for the exam. Okay, but anyway, I'll try to make it, break it and make it easier for us to understand and take it forward to our patients. So first thing is, the question is whether genetic factors, heredity plays an important role. Yes, no. The DNA sequence, we cannot alter it. Morning, a cardiologist was saying, people come with a family history and say, I have a family history of CVD, and then what should I do now? So, but then the genes, the expression of the genes can be modified by the environment, which we call it as epigenetics. Meaning, epi means over the genes. There are a few factors, two of which keep coming and we all know about it. One is the DNA methylation, and the other is the histone modification. The way the DNA methylation happens, hypo or hyper is bad, the methylation should be proper. So that is one thing. And then the histone modification. These two factors are influenced by a lot of things. One of including the in utero environment, external environment, and one of the most important things which influences is food. Okay, so food plays a major role. Some of the factors in the food which we eat, like for example choline, folates, and other things like omega-3 fatty acids and the fibers. And we all know from morning we have been hearing, and I'm not going to tell what is more in all these foods. Obviously a whole food plant-based diet is rich in all these things are taken care. And then so the last thing is, what is the evidence? Actually, as early as 2008, we all know, Ian Ornish, who was a cardiologist, and he has proved in his lifestyle trial that the prostate cancer gene expression can be modified by taking a plant predominant diet. And then, as Dr. Rajina was pointing out, not much RCTs can be done on evidence-based nutrition, but then we have meta-analysis which show evidence that plant-based diets can modify the gene expressions. And the recent trial which I read and I thought we all can read is published in BNC in 2024 called as CW capital IN twin studies, where they have done studies in twins and and they found out that twins who have been given a vegetarian or a vegan diet, they had increased longevity of years, and the DNA methylation was altered, and this is the latest study which shows about the influence of epigenetics on this. And okay, in practice, how do you take this to your patients? We need not tell about all these factors, just tell them, advise them, counsel them about taking a balanced whole food plant-based diet plate. Keep counseling about that, and that's the most simplest way to take this to our patients.
Thank you, Dr. Srota. So, moving on, we're going to start with from the doctors who treat our children. And I go to Dr. Navindini, who is a practicing pediatrician in Bangalore. As a pediatrician who promotes plant-based diet, how can parents ensure that their children consume enough nutrients on a whole food plant-based diet, particularly considering they have a very high fiber content? And what are the practical tips for introducing a whole food plant-based diet to them?
Thank you, Dr. Fatima. I think my job has been made a little easier by all the earlier speakers, so I just have to reiterate what they have said so far. That is, a whole food plant-based diet is completely adequate in nutrients, and it also gives the added benefit of fiber and phytonutrients, which are exclusive to the plant kingdom, while avoiding the baggage of high saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars from the conventional diet. That said, parents have to keep three things in mind. One, they'll have to substitute vitamin B12, because vitamin B12 is a little low in plant foods. Two, plant foods are rich in fiber, and fiber can be filling. So children may get their small stomachs filled up early, so you have to make sure that the food they eat is rich in nutrients. So they are rich in calories also. So foods like avocados, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, dates, nut butters, chickpeas, all that should be included in every meal. And thirdly, portion size and meal frequency can vary from child to child. Some children may be having just 3 meals, but some children may need more frequent, smaller meals. It depends on each child. Coming to your second question, that's a million-dollar question which all mothers have, not just mothers of children on a whole food plant-based diet, without any right answer. A few things I can suggest. Number one is start early. Preferably when you're weaning the child at 6 months. That is the age when the child is getting a lot of nutrients from breast milk, and also the child is naive. It doesn't have any preferences. It actually wants to eat food, which is very rare in older children. So start with a whole food plant-based diet as early as possible. If you're trying to introduce this into older children, start with foods that they are familiar with. So start with fruits, vegetables. If you're giving bread, give the whole wheat bread or whole wheat pasta. If you're giving rice, give the brown rice. So the fiber-rich food should be increased. For their fluid requirements, give them plenty of water, give them homemade fruit juices, give them plant-based milks, or you can, better still is smoothies. You can make smoothies with oats, banana, dates, nuts, seeds, and some greens, so that they get all the fiber along with the fluid. If it is for snacks to school, send common, snacks which they like, but in plant-based form. So like lentil burgers, you can send them sandwiches with hummus and peanut butter. You can send them pizzas with vegan cheese, etc. And involve the child in the meal prep. Take the child with you to the grocery store. Make the child clean the vegetables, cut the vegetables, etc. A child would love to eat what it has helped prepare. And also make the food visually attractive. You don't use a lot of colors. Cut the vegetables or fruits into funny shapes. Arrange the food on the plate in a nice, attractive manner so that children actually reach for the food. And of course, be patient. Be consistent. You can't give them conflicting messages. Sometimes you have to be firm, because kids, as you know, are experts at emotional blackmail. And finally, as Dr. JR said, set good examples. Children may not be listening to you, but they are watching you carefully. So you can't have different rules for different people in the house. So everybody should eat the same kind of diet.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the main thing is the walk the talk. You are telling your children that you should be eating this, we should be doing that too. So, my next question is to Dr. Panni, who is a very experienced research physician. So now we heard from Dr. Naveen that a whole food plant-based diet is, giving all the nutrients which is required for the growth of children. But does this hold good for athletes, sports persons, gym goers, and people who say that they are very active and they need more food? So, if at all, how often should you be checking these nutrient levels in your blood to see if it is sufficient or not? Can you throw a light on that?
Yeah, sure. This is a very interesting question, Dr. Pratima. My son, who is 19 years old, he started going to the gym and he says, the with plant proteins, it doesn't provide the complete nutrients what is required for him, right? So similarly, I know, quite a lot of people may have this in their mind, right? The plant proteins, the plant food, whole plant food, it may not provide them and give them the adequate nutrients which is required. So it becomes very important, how we bust this myth and how we take this among the people to bust this myth, right? So let us look at what are the requirements among the people who go to gym, who are physically active, athletes, and young children in the good spot, right? So they require more of nutrients for their performance. One is performance, after that the recovery part of it, once they complete their performance, the athletic activity, after their sessions, they require, from recovery they have to come back. So for that they require some of the nutrients. The third part is whether whatever the nutrients, is it sustainable? Sustainable, one is to the planet Earth, whether it is available for long time. The second thing is whether whatever the whole plant-based food, what they are going to follow, whether it is easily going to be available for them to take it day on day. After every time they want to take it, is it easily available? Can they have it on the go? Can they prepare it at home? Is it available? So all these kind of questions, let's look at one by one. For the nutrients, macronutrients, proteins, fats and carbohydrates, all of us know the most processed ones which are easily available everywhere. But when it comes to carbohydrates, all of us know the complex carbohydrates has to be taken in abundance, which is required in the veggies and fruits, and of course the cereals, which is non-polished and things like that, all of you have been listening to all the stalwarts from the morning, so you know the common sources from where we are getting all these things. So of course the macronutrients, and also there are some of the terminologies where when simple sugars, the processed food, high sugar foods, when it is taken, there is a sugar rush. That is like a roller coaster, there is a immediate elevation in the blood sugar, but suddenly there is a drop. That's where people feel that, immediately they feel that they are energetic, soon they feel they are exhausted, they feel fatigued. But with the complex carbohydrates, with the whole protein, with good fats, people find it they can feel satiated and they feel energetic for a long time. The second one, the unsung heroes, the micronutrients, the calcium, the iron, the vitamin D, the calcium ones which are there. So these ones, as Dr. Pratima was saying,
and two of them, I suppose, there was diazin and genistein, and these are they modulate the receptor or estrogen receptor modulators. So there was this fear that they are going to act like estrogens and they can cause a lot of side effects. But it is known that they can be pro-estrogenic and anti-estrogenic. So there's a differential effect in different tissues. And it's now proven beyond doubt that they are beneficial, and therefore it is to be used in postmenopausal women. In fact, there was a small but a very important randomized controls trial done by Dr. Neil Bernard of the PCRM, who used just half a cup of soybeans every day for 12 weeks, cooked soybeans in these women. It showed an 84% reduction in the hot flashes. So it is important. So when women come to me, I tell them just start adding soy. And we can do it in so many ways. Put soybeans in your curry, soy flour in your chapatis, soy can be added into your dosa batters, you can use tofu and tempeh, so various myriad ways of using it, and they do find a difference. And remember, soy is not just about isoflavones, it has other phytonutrients, it has fiber, and it's a high quality protein. And we have been talking about elderly needing more protein, and that is given here. Again, the fiber in it is very good for gut health, and improve your gut health improves your mood, improves your sleep, improves your bowel mobility, and reduces the risk of many cancers. So yes, soy is very good for your postmenopausal women. I just add them at least half to a cup of soy every day would make a huge difference. Now coming to your second part of the question, I think it was already well answered by Dr. Monica for me this morning. There was this fear that because it's estrogenic and estrogen receptor positive cancers can occur, etc. These have been debunked by multiple studies. In fact, there was an RCT of 84 studies which said that came to this conclusion. There was a large study in China, there's a Shanghai Women Health Initiative, there's another which is over 30,000 women, and another study of about 5,000 women where they studied about breast cancer survivors. And remember, China is they consume a lot of soy. So all these have proven beyond doubt that consumption of soy has an inverse relationship both with the occurrence and the recurrence of breast cancer and endometrial cancer. So soy is good for us.
Thank you, Rina. Kind of with all the evidence also. Thank you so much. Yeah, Dr. Shinja, my next question is to you. Dr. Shinja is a family medicine physician, who is also a lifestyle medicine physician. We've had a lot of beliefs, do's and don'ts with regard to type 2 diets. All kinds of diets are prescribed, and they say you can have a low carb diet, you can have an ADA recommended diet. There are so many diets that are good. How do these compare with the whole food plant-based way of eating?
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Pam, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening, everyone. Good to see so many doctors showing interest in plant-based way of eating. Yeah, there are many, when it comes to treating type 2 diabetes, there are so many do's and don'ts. So I have a personal experience, like my husband is a type 2 diabetic. So it's been now more than 20 years of his diabetes. So when we started, at that time, I didn't know about whole food plant-based way of eating. So as the doctors had prescribed it was started with metformin. And we were following the American Diabetes Association way of eating. So that is, as we know, to eat a balanced diet and portion controlled way of eating. But that way of eating, and then again 10 years later on, what I am seeing is he's on 4 medications. So that is when I started reading more about the different types of diets. So then we started following the low carb diet, keto diet at home. But the problem with it was focusing on only certain groups were to be avoided. So when we go out to sustain it, I found it really difficult. And also, when we are following a balanced diet, like as ADM tells us to follow, what happens is there is no restriction for processed food or animal food. So that I feel can lead in the long term to all the chronic conditions which we see nowadays. A whole food plant-based way of eating, I feel, is an evidence-backed health-promoting approach that aligns well with treating not only diabetes but also similar all metabolic conditions as well. So the benefit of following a whole food plant-based diet is it is rich in fiber, and so that helps in slowing the digestion process and the absorption of sugar levels, so that keeps our sugar levels in control. And also it helps in improving the insulin sensitivity this way.
It's naturally low in fat and saturated fat, which we know helps to prevent the cardiovascular diseases in long term. A type 2 diabetic person is more prone to cardiovascular diseases. And one additional benefit of being on a whole food plant-based diet is it helps to lose weight. And we know that obesity or being overweight, it increases the risk of in a type 2 diabetic person, how it is risky in that person. And the way it helps is by promoting satiety, by reducing overeating, and it feeds your gut microbiome, so your gut microbiome is healthy. So these are the mechanisms by which how it helps to prevent obesity. So I would say to summarize that a whole food plant-based diet is definitely a way more sustainable way to go ahead, and it's a comprehensive approach for overall health and well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Shilja. My last question is to Dr. G. Rajendran. We've already heard a lot about whole food plant-based diet in this talk. Now, the question that I have for you is that you have given us the evidence that how it has helped in the cardiovascular diseases in your talk. So how does it compare with statin therapy in reducing cardiovascular risks? And what are the challenges that you face, and how do you mitigate them in patients with advanced cardiovascular disease?
Well, I have a question for you. Why is that you're asking me the question to me as the last panelist? And there are two questions.
Yes.
There are two questions. I will make the first question very shorter. That is about the statins versus whole food plant-based diet in prevention of CVD. That was the question. Actually, there has not been any study comparing these two in CVD prevention. There is one study, that is the portfolio study, that was only for the lipid management. Okay, where the statins and the portfolio diet were equal. Okay, that is point number one. Point number two, when it comes to primary prevention, I would always prefer a whole food plant-based diet over statins unless there is a pressing indication, like for example a CT coronary calcium is very high, a very strong family history, and it is going to take a long time for someone to change over to whole food plant-based diet. The third situation is obviously a secondary prevention that definitely will go for a statin, because if the patient is not going to be compliant with the food, it's going to be a big problem. Okay, of course I'll add one more point. And because it's CVD, we are not looking at only the lipid profile, we are looking at so many other factors like BP control, weight control, exercise, everything. So I think the whole food plant-based diet scores over all these parameters, scores over the statins in all these parameters. That's the first thing. And second thing is possibly the question of the day. And that makes it, I will take a few extra minutes for that. Okay, I think the first step is to understand your patient. What is his socioeconomic capacity? Where is he coming from? What is his family background? Who is cooking? Who is with him? And what is he growing? These are all the things which are going to play a major role. Okay, the counseling should never be done for a person without his family members. That is what I have understood so far. Because nothing reaches the home. Okay, including the diagnosis that doesn't reach the home. And now we insist that the mother or the spouse must come. We'll have a second sitting. Okay, we just prescribe drugs if it is needed for his angina. Then you come back with your family so that you will definitely learn about that. The third thing is, I see their grandkids, their son-in-law, all those things, and somebody is obese, then I take it a chance. See, the whole family is like this. It's important you change it as a family and push something into the grandkids' mind. So they keep insisting, Tata, Party, you should not be taking this. That is something very, very important. And then make them grow something in their, like Maitri was saying this, make them grow something in their terrace. It is very easy to grow microgreens. Okay, so that part I think is very important. Then another important point is know their likes and dislikes. So they may not like something. Okay, we cannot push them onto their head. They may not like some vegetables. Just because it's good, you cannot ask them to take it. The best thing, the most important thing is it must be sustainable. To make it sustainable, you must know about their likes and dislikes. Dr. Sweta will accept that we have a proforma where the likes and dislikes are mentioned in the dietary form, and they have to fill up those. Okay, then we try to make use of it to change their habits. And other thing is, instead of telling first straight away don't take this, no you're not taking properly, you are eating these things unnecessarily, focus on things which have to be taken in plenty. Like the whole lot of panelists have insisted on the fruits and vegetables, nuts part, which is hardly taken by, everybody will say I am taking. We probe into that, they will be taking once a week. Okay, so that is something which is important. And if somebody says that actually they have been doing whatever you have been advising and still not improving, then just put a pause there, give them a food diary, make them write. Okay, the next time when they come, they will have changed by themselves because they will realize that they are doing something wrong when they are actually putting it on paper. Okay, these are all the small things. And let me finish this discussion. There are no more questions. Let's walk it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So, we've heard from a whole, galaxy of startups who have spoken that a whole food plant-based diet works with children, with women, with the elderly, and also people who have problems like diabetes, obesity, and also cardiovascular disease. So it's not just that only this particular person has to eat. All of us have to eat this, and with this we can all definitely improve not only our health but also the health of our patients. Thank you all for patiently being here, and thank you all for being here till the end till the last question has been asked.
Taekwondo referee and national referee. And we have international, he's a national bodybuilder, plant-based diet. We can follow the plant-based diet and still we can have high energy levels throughout the day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
National games, it had plant-based food. This was a diet that introduced,
they were serving plant-based food at your place.
Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Dr. Rashi, who is a very passionate nutritionist and has her own plant-based restaurant.
And a dancer.
And a dancer, yes. We saw the new, part of, not new maybe, we got to see this part of Rashi too. So I think you need to start a dance class beside your restaurant. So as a nutritionist consultant, would you think that cooking a whole food plant-based diet is difficult? And even if you cook, do you think it's going to be an expensive proposition like most people think it's going to be? What is your take on it?
Okay, so today everyone had lunch here, and it was all plant-based. And do you think you were missing out anything? Anything
anything in the food that was there today?
Yes.
All of you all enjoyed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, you can eat everything that you have been eating now, just make it a bit healthy. Like Dr. Rajendran showed the plate, right? You should have more of fruits and salads in your diet, add little bit of grains and nuts and seeds. So you can snack on fruits. You can start with your day with a breakfast on fruits, and then you can have lots of salads for your lunch, along with some grains that are whole grains, not polished ones, and have legumes, and make salad dressing with nuts and seeds that can be added. So the source of fat and good nuts will be already into your food. And you can have steamed or vegetables with all the spices that you use normally. Use nut butters instead of oil or refined oil. And you can even have desserts made with, all types of nuts and seeds instead of dairy. So I don't think you will be missing out, or it's tough to make whole food plant-based. In fact, when I turned whole food plant-based, I felt I was making my lunch within half an hour. Otherwise, with oil, it was taking longer because, the process is tough. Also very tough to clean the utensils because it is all greasy. So the health is also very happy, that your dishes are always clean because we don't use any oil. So it is absolutely the easiest, I will tell you, it's the easiest cuisine to do. And cost-wise, what is the cost of 1 kilo of beef or chicken? If anyone, because I don't eat, so I don't know, but anyone who is eating meat, 300. What is the cost of broccoli? 1 kilo of broccoli or any other vegetable for that matter. Yeah, or a pulse, if you, so or chana, or chole, rajma. So if you look at the cost, I feel you are cutting down all the dairy products, no cheese, no oil, no butter, no ghee, which is very expensive, and no meat at all, which are quite expensive. So only the locally grown vegetables and seeds and fruits are not going to be that expensive. They are in fact very, very cheap. So I feel in long run, you are going to gain health and not spend on hospitals. So that is going to be a very added advantage. So it is actually very, very economical to go on whole food plant-based diet. Yes.
It's just not about cleaning the vessels. It's about cleaning the blood vessels too.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. My next question is to Dr. Shani. Shani is a lifestyle medicine physician and a senior consultant at Baptist Hospital. We're going to the next segment of people, and we're seeing that the population of the senior citizens in our country are on the rise. Now, is it difficult for the elderly to be on a whole food plant-based diet, given that they are prone to cognitive decline, osteoporosis, need excess protein, and especially since they also have some dental issues? How do you deal with this? How do you, help your clients on whole food plant-based diet?
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thanks. So, I'm a family medicine physician, lifestyle physician and a pediatrician. So, talking about nutrition, it's quite complex in my older adults, especially with the multidimensional health issues. So, briefly, in just few seconds, I would like to see what background I really encountered when I really handled my older adults. Physiological challenges, basically it comes with taste, smell of the food, or even for that matter, digestion or body composition. Several things which happen as they travel along with the diseases, including insulin resistance, inflammation, bone density issues, immunosensitization setting in, practical challenges, mobility issues, including doing their own grocery shopping, as well as coming from different socio-economic strata, residing at a resident retirement homes. So along with this, adding with this multi-morbidities, including arthritis, cardiovascular disease, polypharmacy, the list goes on and on and on. But in this background, talking about nutrition today, I think before the nutrition, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine is crucial. I do follow them and I advise my elderly adults. Of the most nutrition, I decide my consultation or look at them in 4 important aims. The first would be focusing on fewer calories when it comes to nutrition, more focused on micronutrients, very quality rich protein, and also complex carbs, which is rich in dietary fibers. This I would like to repeat, fewer calories, more focused on micronutrients, complex carbs with adequate dietary fibers, and quality proteins. Now coming to their issues, as Dr. Pratima said, the dental issues. So if that is the only challenge, and patient is motivated, and a lot of them come forward to address the dental issues. Please go ahead, so that encouraging them to get it, then they can actually enjoy the flavors and textures of these vegetables. Sometimes I do talk to them about breaking the vegetables, adding them to the making that simple dosa so that some fiber content goes in. Even one single dosa can actually, you can make it more micronutrient dense, and then we can give them. And the most important is hydration for them. So what happens generally is they are into beverages, coffees, and things like that. So dehydration is one of the commonest factors. I make this very important because bowel constipation issues. So taking more, there are on a lot of medications like diabetes. So hydration is very, very crucial. And the fourth important thing is when I start this kind, the type of food change, because they come from very different cultural background, belief system. It's so deep rooted at that particular age group. So it's crucial for me to understand how can it sustain this behavior change in them. So keeping all these things, I do understand the challenges or how motivated they are to make those change. So I do follow SMART codes, a very specific measurable. Most of the time it starts from the time they enter the consultation chamber, we know how fragile they are, and during the examination also they love to talk quite a lot. So you can have a small chat with them, understanding what changes they would like to make, and making the table which I sit in more curious, like I do have kachoris on my table, spoons, measuring jars, so that they ask me, why do you keep all these things on your table? So it's very difficult having their sensory deficits in there, like hearing deficit, and things like to explain to them. It's very, I cannot speak as saturated fat, I cannot speak as low fat diet. So I need to emphasize what is a fistful of a nutrient when it comes to nuts. So more practical explanation is something you need to make the consultation more curious, curiosity, like they should be curious to know why is this, why is this. And several times they have like come again and asked me, you kept the chart on your table, what is it? So that makes me feel very happy that they want to know more about it, and also a small cognitive game there, so they really remember what I've kept it on the table. And also diet will not go without talking about physical activity. More emphasis on aerobic is told, like walking or my jogging. And then I would emphasize more on strength and agility exercises, neuromotor exercises. Many of them with arthritis. Maybe I would just give one small example. My patient was 64 years old. I'm very proud of her. Who came with arthritis, was not able to do exercise, but the motivation level was quite high for her. She lived in a well-off community, so I only told her, can you walk in the pool, like chest level water. All she did was, within 3 months, she got a coach and she learned swimming at 64, and she was able to get back walking, and the mobility improved, arthritis improved. I don't have any data on all those things, but it was a practical thing which I've seen in her. And so neuromotor proprioception is the main thing which is affecting in diabetes or any neuropathy. So I think a small tips you give them during the consultation, not telling them don't do this, don't do this. I think it takes a long way. I feel very proud to take part in their journey with modifying the disease. The most receptive thing what I've seen is lab changes. When the lab changes, or when there is a little bit of pressure changes, blood pressure changes, or when they're able to sleep better. So they're more receptive and they come forward. Even if I discard the things, you're taking these medications, because I cross-check the medications every time they come. Over-the-counter supplements, over-the-counter, there are so many fat diets, there are so many nutritional claims. So I just wanted to emphasize that WPB diet can do wonders along with business.
Thank you for that, Dakshani, and thank you for sharing your experience with your patient, because I would like to say that I have a 90-year-old mother-in-law, Dr. has been. So this mother, we live with her, and she has totally become a whole food plant-based person just by seeing us eat. we started eating slowly, and then, she would say, I will miss this, I will miss that. But now she is totally enjoying the whole food plant-based diet. And so it gives me inspiration to see that even a 90-year-old can make the change and feel the difference. Yeah. Wants to share about my partner.
I want to share another true life episode about my dad. At the age of 85, he's been a diabetic, had atherosclerosis, he had a heart attack first at the age of 50. At the age of 85, he developed atherosclerotic changes in the legs and started developing ulcers on his foot. Non-healing ulcers, almost, they started multiplying, started developing blebs. We took him to 2 vascular surgeons. They did angioplasty twice to the legs. It improved a little bit, but then it's...
From you. Homocysteine is mostly associated with venous thrombosis. Well, PAN is not supposed to be associated with, supposed to be associated with only evidence-based. Now, as far as the homocysteine is concerned, I will make 2 statements. This causes more of venous thrombosis. Number 2, even a mildly elevated homocysteine, people start associating with that, but it's given, as far as the present evidence is concerned, if it is more than 100, it is associated with coronary artery disease. Okay, and for at least 3 years, we did homocysteine for all those patients who attended PSG, and we never saw anybody having more than 100. So this is our experience, and this is what is right now written in the textbook also. So I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Dr. Jia. We have time for just only one question, because I've been told that we are running out of things. We need to empty the hall. So please,
I'm Dr. Mahesh. I'm an anesthesiologist. So the question to the panelists is, yes, I'm also into a lot of dieting and eating plant-based food. The question probably for everybody's mind is, should it be exclusive plant-based medicine, or can we cheat once or twice a month?
I think we don't need to actually discuss. In the, I had put in the slides, I had actually put something in the green, something in the yellow, and something in the red. And the red also we said how often can you take it. That obviously gives you the answer. Is that enough?
Yeah, both Dr. Rajendran and Dr. Hemlata, both of them have mentioned that we're not talking about exclusivity. We don't say don't at all, but there are being, some rebates, some cases where you can. And in India, being, a vast country with all kinds of socioeconomic strata, we can't definitely say not this, not that.
No, my question was, will it reverse the good effect of
it will. So if you eat the way that...
Definitely, yes. That is precisely what he said. He said his father's diabetic ulcers cropped up again. So it's all about the act on the endothelium. Okay, how is endothelium studied? Whether a particular substance is going to be helpful for us or not. You take a particular substance on a fasting state, that means nothing is there in your stomach to act on your results. So you take a particular substance, say for example an apple, and see whether, or a green for example, whether it is going to be useful or not. So you do an endothelial function test. Now take your whatever thing you want to test, and then check after 3 hours. In 3 hours actually you can see whether the endothelial function worsens or decreases. This is very well proven. Okay, so this is what happens. Even you take, I smoke occasionally, I just take 1 puff. That 1 puff is good enough to damage your endothelium. Similarly, an animal product can damage your endothelium. It is not going to manifest immediately. It is going to build up over years. And that's the reason why we want to be whole food plant-based at 100%. But the lenience has been given because you cannot sustain it. Okay. As the majority of us are able to sustain because we learned it our own way. Because you are hearing, but if you are going to be part of this group and go through the evidences, you will be convinced that when you eat something wrong, then you will feel that you have done a crime. That will be your mindset of it.
So the answer is you cannot cheat, right?
You should not cheat. I allowed cheating just because I don't want people to give up the entire thing. That's the reason.
And one more thing, doctor.
And again, one more thing, we have to stick on to the evidence-based. Now, the evidence is only whatever the guidelines say or like this. So that is the reason why we want to be little bit lenient.
Yeah, that's okay. But the ICMR guidelines and that plate what you are projecting to showing milk.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas in your slides it was telling milk should not be given, because there's a casing.
Yeah.
So at the end, no, we are all confused. I mean, I am confused.
In interest of time, we will not take any more questions, but I know you all have been a very inquisitive audience, so we do respect your questions. So you all can join the group, and we'll quickly be circulating a form as well where you can put down all your questions, and these questions will be directed to all the experts, and we'll get the answers directly from them. So if you're wondering where is the QR scan, it's not on this slide, but on all the delegate passes where you have, there's a QR scan to it, from where you can join the PAN group, where this group is for continued education and to get all the feedback and answer your questions as well. So feel free to join that group, and I would request all the panelists to be on stage, and thank you for such an amazing session. And all the panelists from panel discussion 1 and all the speakers for today, I kindly invite you on the stage. We have a token of thanks to express our gratitude for such an engaging and powerful day. So Dr. Rajina, please come on stage so you can appreciate. All the speakers, all the panelists from panel discussion 1, please, if you're in the hall, please come on stage. And after this, we have the quiz prizes which we had in the morning. We have those prize distribution as well. So just be a little bit more patient for 5 more minutes. In the talk, it has all plant-based products. So maybe you cannot start from today, but start with one single step which you can take. This is panel. Round of applause for all of them. That's also a form of exercising. You're exercising your muscles. Can we have all the panelists from panel discussion 1, please join us on the stage? With this, like to thank all those who were also in the lobby actually providing whole food, plant-based food more easily and accessible to you. Just amazing. Aribu, Pliva, Sampurna Ahar. Can we also have our quiz winners, Dr. Deepak and Dr. Madhuri Jija? And can anybody show me a bingo? Has anybody completed the bingo? Then we have the bingo prize also. Then please come, who has the maximum, let me verify. Bingo winners are Dr. Palakal and Dr. Mansoor. Can we have you two on stage as well, please? Let's have a big round of applause for our winners, especially the bingo who have been attentive through the day and marking and also mentioning which talk they've heard this word. And they didn't fall for our trick. The words which haven't been mentioned has not been ticked. So let's have you all on stage. Dr. Deepak, Dr. Madhuri, Dr. Palakal, Dr. Mansoor. All 4. Let's have a big round of applause for all of them. And let's have a big round of applause for our volunteers, Dr. Ashwa and Sindhu, who have been supporting us at the back end and making this event a successful event. Thank Thank you to all the delegates and all the speakers and the organizing team. Thank you to Pan India, and we hopefully keep continuing to organize such more events in future. Thank you all for today.
And thank you, Dr. Harshita, for your wonderful support. We loved your energies. And thank you, ITC, for whole food, plant-based food. I know it's not easy. Thanks again.
Just look at the camera, please. One second. Flash up one more. Big cheese. Thank you.